How do you see this sad saga ending? 40 ministers and aides resigning in the last 24 hours. We've never seen that before.
Yeah, hi Dan, good morning. Really unprecedented scenes here in British politics and for the UK government over the last 48 hours and really actually particularly the last 24 hours, as Steve was just excellently summarizing just now. In terms of how everything's going to play out over the next day, I really think all options are really on the table. And to put it quite simply, if we were living in kind of normal political times here in Britain, we would have seen that the kind of incumbent Prime Minister resign, losing over 40 government ministers, kind of looking like he's lost the confidence of his parliamentary colleagues as well. So we're really living in these uncharted times of volatility. And the really important point that I want to underscore is the fact that there's a big question right now from a public policy perspective in Britain about, is there a functioning government, even functioning right now, that can, pass these policies, particularly with the cost of living crisis, inflation set to hit 11% in the next couple of months, all of these big macroeconomic problems. And I think this is the really big and significant problem, is that all of these kind of ongoing scandals are kind of stopping the country from moving forward, so to speak. And I see it very difficult how Prime Minister Boris Johnson can remain in place over the next coming days to the week ahead. Of course, at the same time, as Steve mentioned just now, there could be rule changes to the 1922 committee, the influential group within the Conservative Party that could potentially, if the rules were to be changed in the next week or so, there could be potentially another vote of no confidence if there's also a new executive committee in place. But really, there used to be a statement that a week was a long time in British politics. I would say it's really, a couple of hours now are a long time in British politics in terms of just how much has changed over the last day to 2 days.
Yeah. Exactly. And James, big questions over whether or not there is actually a functioning government in the UK, as you say, but also questions over whether Boris Johnson is actually fit to govern. As Steve mentioned it, as you've highlighted, there is the prospect that we could see another confidence vote as soon as next week, but things would need to be moved around in order for that to happen. What needs to change in order for a confidence vote to take place? And are there any likely contenders for Boris Johnson's position?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dan. And what I would say is, in order for a vote of no kind of confidence to take place, you'd need the 1922 committee to kind of hold these elections next week or in the next 1 to 2 weeks. Nobody's quite. There are some rumors about it occurring early next week in Britain. And so, if a new executive team was in place, then there could be a vote of no confidence. But how long would that vote take? That's all quite hypothetical right now. And that's quite difficult to really know. So there are so many uncertainties. And again, that's where I think the chaos and confusion is continuing and really leading to a loss in governance in the country. And of course, there are big questions about the legitimacy of Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Of course, Boris Johnson yesterday kind of countered back at the liaison committee where he was questioned by MPs, saying that he's still got a big mandate from that December 2019 election. He wants to kind of continue that change and kind of sort out the cost of living crisis and the other big macroeconomic problems befalling the country. But again, we have to go back and look at the mental arithmetic. And 40 government ministers resigning, the Chancellor of the Exchequer resigning, Rishi Sunak being replaced by Nadhim Zahawi, and also the fact that the Health Secretary and a number of these key officials have resigned, along with Michael Gove being sacked yesterday. It really points to the fact that can the Prime Minister, if he was to remain in place over the next couple of days in office, can he replace those officials in the cabinet? Will there be other resignations? That's also on the horizon. And again, the point that I'm repeating a bit, but I really want to underscore is the fact that these are not normal times. And the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, personality-wise, he is a very different type of politician to, say, Theresa May, who, of course, when she stepped down, resigned a couple of years ago, she was kind of told by the 1922 committee, Sir Graham Brady, the chief of that committee, that she would need to kind of step down for the sake of the country. And I don't think Boris Johnson will do that. It's not in his DNA to resign. And I think he's a political maverick in that sense, and he will try to fight on. But of course, that's the problem. If he continues to fight on, then the whole machine of government, of the country, could grind to a halt. And that's a very big problem in terms of the implications for democracy in Britain and lack of trust in politicians and in the government right now.